Join Midtown Houston for National Night Out on Tuesday, October 7th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. at Bagby Park. This free community event brings neighbors, families, and local law enforcement together to strengthen relationships and promote public safety. There's nothing like connecting with your neighbors while enjoying free food, including James Coney Island hot dogs, mini bun cakes from the Baker's Man, and gelato cups from Constantine. They'll also have tons of games and activities. Head to midtownhouston.com and under Visit and Explore, you can save your spot and celebrate a safer, more connected community. Eureka Day at Fourth Wall Theater Company in Sawyer Yards is now running until October 11th. This ultra-relevant, hilarious play about debate, agreement, and finding consensus in today's world is a must-see, especially in the Fourth Wall Theater Company's intimate 100-seat black box. The play won big on Broadway this year with the 2025 Tony Award for Best Revival. Tickets start at just $39, plus the theater offers pay-what-you-will nights and other discounts. Visit fourthwalltheaterco.com to get your tickets today. Today on CityCast Houston, what is happening with the METRORail in downtown? Plus, an intense debate about free speech in Second Ward, and is a doggy park a sign of gentrification in the East End? I'm talking about those stories and others with ABC13 reporter Pooja Lodhia. It's Tuesday, September 30th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Hey, Pooja, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I always love coming on your show.
It's always a delight to have you. And I want to start with this story because late last week, Sebastian, who is a listener of CityCast Houston, reached out to us on Instagram and told us that the METRORail Red Line, which goes through downtown, Midtown, the Museum District, it is not running smoothly anymore, and it was stopping at every single signal. What that means is the red line lost signal priority in the morning, especially when commuters are trying to get to the Med Center, they're trying to get to downtown, whichever way they're going. The trains would usually just go right through the signals, wouldn't have to stop at a red. And now it is just havoc because it is taking forever for these commuters who are using public transit. And this is a major issue.
That is so frustrating. I don't know about you, but I leave about 0 minutes in the mornings to get to where I need to be on time. I do not factor in any sort of extra time. So, I would lose my mind to deal with that.
This got Sebastian so frustrated that he actually sent us a voicemail just airing out some of his grievances. Let's take a listen.
Hi, Raheel. With this mayor, I'm very suspicious because I can imagine that this is something he would do, not have the cars downtown have to stop and wait for the train go by. The Red Line is not some eccentric thing, right? This is our most used transit line. It's vital to the Med Center. It's vital to downtown. It seems crazy that they would try to break it this way. But yeah, at the moment, it's basically unusable. And the city hasn't told us what's going on. To me, it's annoying. And to a lot of people, it's crippling their ability to get to and from work. So I think this should be on people's radar, and I hope the city tells us what's going on soon.
Good for Sebastian for trying to do something about this. That is incredibly frustrating, and I hadn't heard about this. Had you heard about this?
I hadn't up until that point. So I actually reached out to Metro to find out, hey, what is happening? Can you give us some insight here? Because the riders felt left in the dark. They didn't know what was happening. And here's what Metro told CityCast Houston. They said, based on a strong demand to improve on-time performance and ease mobility, Metro is working in close coordination with Public Works on traffic management efforts designed to enhance overall mobility and improve on-time performances across all modes of transportation. These efforts have already produced measurable improvements for buses, commuters, and pedestrians. At the same time, they have introduced challenges for our rail system, which we are actively addressing. So this got so bad late last week that even Faith Bugenhagen, who is a friend of the show, the trending news reporter for Crime.com, she did a story on it. And now people are speaking out and saying, hey, y'all have to fix this. But what really stood out to me, Pooja, was that immediately Sebastian talked about Mayor Whitmire and how this feels like a coordinated attack from the city to cripple public transport in favor of cars. That to me is a major sign that the mayor has lost trust with a lot of citizens when it comes to decisions being made regarding traffic.
Absolutely. I think if you talk to anybody out there about the mayor, one of the first things that they will mention is the mayor getting rid of bike lanes, the mayor not necessarily being in favor of public transportation the way that previous mayors have been. It seems like so many of these redesigns that we're seeing are really car friendly, but not as pedestrian friendly, not as public transit friendly. And a lot of people really care about that.
Yeah, a lot of people do care about that. And people who are working at Metro inside the rail division are even speaking out. On Reddit, there was a comment posted by a rail operator. And this person was just saying how this new signal priority D access is leading to fatigue because now the operators, the conductors of these trains, have to stop at every single signal and platform. And Metro, by the way, is quote unquote blaming the city, right? They're saying this is a city decision. They don't control the lights and they just have to work with the city and public works to figure this out. So this is a story that is really important. And I hope they figure this out.
Absolutely. And can we go back to that Metro statement? Because like you said, yes, they're putting the responsibility on the city, but that Metro statement really didn't say anything. It didn't say anything about what people can expect in the future, why exactly this is happening. It felt like a lot of words in there without a lot of meaning. So speaking of people who are frustrated with the mayor, I want to talk about a group called Recall for Houston, because they are going to start collecting signatures on October 6th, and they're actually trying to recall Mayor John Whitmire. It's a very, very, very long shot. I don't know if you've been sort of following a lot of what Recall for Houston has been doing. They're all over social media. They're all over the internet. But when you really think about what they are going to have to do, if this is something they want to do, it's almost impossible, according to a lot of political experts. So this group is going to start collecting signatures next week on October 6th. They have to collect more than 63,000 signatures within 30 days. Wow. So we're talking about more than 2,000 signatures a day. And this is the part that makes it even tougher. All of the signatures have to be from registered voters in the city of Houston. So if you talk to a lot of political experts and people who really know how these petition drives work, they're probably going to have to collect, they say, about 100,000 signatures. Just because so many people, might say that they're registered voters in the city of Houston. They may not be. They may be registered somewhere else. They may not be registered. Not that they're trying to trick anybody, but, you need to collect a lot more than the number required just to make sure that all of those are validated. Yeah. So, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Everybody I have spoken to, the city secretary's office, multiple experts with U of H and Rice and, just other sort of political insiders say not one of them can remember an effort like this ever being successful.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the group. Alejandro from Recall Houston joined us on the podcast earlier this year and laid out his efforts and was really pushing for this collection. And now that it is starting up, it is going to be a battle because in your story, you mentioned the recent survey from the University of Houston's Hobby School of Public Affairs, where 59% of Houstonians approve of Mayor Whitmire's job performance, while about 41% disapprove. The poll, by the way, showed that Whitmire is very popular among Houstonians age 55 and older who identify as a Republican. And why is that important? Because Mayor Whitmire is a Democrat, but more of a moderate, I would say, leftist than like an extreme leftist mayor, right? So this is going to be a hard challenge for Alejandro and his team, but they are all for it. And this shows that there is some resistance, right? And that people are willing to fight. Even if they come up short, they are willing to fight and voice their disapproval of the mayor.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Even if this doesn't actually happen, even if they aren't able to get enough signatures, even if this never goes on a ballot, it's a huge distraction for the mayor. The mayor is really going to have to focus on kind of gaining popularity, on reaching out to people. So no matter what happens here, just the fact that we are reporting on this and we're all talking about this, I think makes a difference when it comes to city politics.
You know what I would love to see from this effort? I would love to see Mayor Whitmire reach out to the group and sit down with them and say, hey, what can I do differently? We all live in the same city. Let's figure out how I can help serve you as well. and I hope there is a connection here. Maybe this is a bridge and they reach out to each other. I know it won't happen, right? Because I haven't seen anything from Mayor Whitmire where he is like, hey, let's listen to people who aren't happy with what I'm doing. This is my opinion. That's the sense I get. And I don't know if that happens, but I wish it would, because that's what we need. We need more of, hey, let's sit down and talk to each other and figure out how can we better serve each other and make this a better place.
We're saving the world right here on CityCast Houston. Because, if every elected official would do that, if they would make the time to go out there and talk to people who disagree with their policies, I think we would see huge differences just in sort of the faith that people have in government.
That was perfectly said, Pooja. Let's take a little break, and when we come back, let's talk about politics in a different realm, the church. It's time for the Bayou City Art Festival in Memorial Park, all weekend long from October 10th through the 12th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Houston's iconic art festival will transform Memorial Park into a vibrant outdoor art gallery and interactive experience while showcasing the works of more than 250 artists. There's so much to do, including purchasing one-of-a-kind art, jewelry, functional art, and so much more at all price levels. And there's more than just art. You can enjoy live entertainment, food trucks, an active imagination zone for guests of all ages, and a craft beer and wine garden. Early bird tickets are $18 for adults and $5 for children ages 6 through 12 at BayouCityArtFestival.com. But act fast, because adult tickets purchased after October 1st are $20, and physical tickets will not be sold at the gate, so grab yours in advance online. You can also enjoy the festival in their VIP hospitality lounge with VIP tickets. Again, to find out more and get tickets, go to BayouCityArtFestival.com. Hey Houston, this fall, PhotoFest is presenting 25 years of creativity and collaboration with Houston artists Hillerbrand and Magsman. Their exhibition, Nothing is Precious, Everything is Game, is on view October 8th through November 22nd at Silver Street Studios. This husband and wife artist team turns everyday things like household items, family rituals, and even pieces from their own home into photographs, videos, and sculptures that are both surprising and playful. It's all about transforming the ordinary into something extraordinary. And there's more than just art on the walls. From an artist reception to live performances, a bingo night, and a family day, there are many ways for you to connect with the art. Come experience Nothing is Precious, Everything is Game in person. Learn more at photofest.org. That's FOTO fest.org. All right, Pooja, it is time for a lightning round. Let's start with the first story. As I mentioned before the break, let's talk about politics, but when it comes to a church. So the Houston Chronicle's Andrea Ball has a deep dive into a legal battle that's brewing inside one of the largest and most influential churches in the region, the Second Baptist Church. Now, that church was led by Pastor Ed Young for nearly 50 years, and then he stepped down about a year ago and he announced his son would replace him. At the time the church accepted this, everything looked to be okay. But then in the spring, a group of congregants came forward to say that the church had fraudulently passed bylaws to make this transition of power happen behind closed doors, which also stripped the congregation of all voting rights. First of all, I didn't know the congregation had voting rights. I am not Christian. This is very eye-opening to me. So this group calls themselves the Jeremiah Council, and they want the old bylaws back. So they sued church leaders. How about that? Did you know that major politics were happening inside a church?
I did not know that either. This whole story is just so surprising. Perhaps it's this specific denomination that has this. But wow, what an interesting story and what an interesting situation, especially because we're talking about an enormous church. According to this article, 94,000 people attend this church, and this church has, get this, $1 billion in assets.
What?
So we're not just talking about a little kind of neighborhood type thing. And some of the members include people like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
What? That sounds like a megachurch. And this Jeremiah Council is led by some influential people. These aren't just everyday congregants, okay? These are people who are former executives at huge oil and gas companies. They're restaurateurs and so many other powerful roles. And they are like all in on this. They are suing them, as I mentioned. They are going to be going to court, and a trial is set for February. And the church recently secured a protective order that could ban the general public from seeing certain court documents, which would mean financials. This is getting really messy.
Oh, we've got to follow this one. We've got to follow this until it's over. This is fascinating.
So, Pooja, lost in all of this is the fact that this is still a church, right? Like, people like to go to church. This is a part of their community. And in this story, this really stood out to me. And this is like something where we have to mention because it gets lost in this political battle and this legal battle. And Andrea Ball wrote, since the Jeremiah Council filed suit, the legal battle has destroyed friendships, cost thousands of dollars, and prompted members to walk away from the place they call their spiritual home for decades. That's sad.
That is sad.
Okay, our next story, Pooja, for Lightning Round is about the season. And that season it's Halloween, right? Yard decorations are going up. People are excited. I'm seeing pumpkins and zombies, all that good stuff. But in Houston's second ward, there is a major battle for free speech and an intense debate about it because a homeowner is going viral for featuring what appears to be two ICE agents hanging from a noose with two Mexican flags and a figure wearing a colorful poncho standing right in front of them. This is really, really intense. Like, I don't know if you've seen the footage yet, but Mark Rodriguez, the homeowner, is defending this as a political statement.
This is fascinating. And I have a feeling we're going to start to see so many more situations just like this. I mean, it's like, what a time to be a journalist, right? I mean, I feel like there's so many interesting conversations going on right now about freedom of speech and what that entails. I find this very interesting because people out there are so angry right now in so many ways. And I do think that people want to express themselves. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more situations just like this, not just even during Halloween.
This debate about free speech and, what is protected, the consequences of free speech, as you mentioned, it's about to heat up. And I think this is just another example. And that homeowner, again, Mark Rodriguez, is defending it. He says, I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. It's just the point about morally doing things right or morally doing things wrong. By no means am I threatening any agents. That's just a statement I'm putting up for myself. And again, he has the right to do so. And HPD, by the way, has said that there has been no crime committed and there are no charges to be filed. This is just an example of free speech. So we'll see what happens. But so far, the homeowner says that he hasn't seen anything but positive comments on his end. But this has sparked a range of emotions and debates on social media.
And maybe that's what he was going for, which is probably his right to do so. I mean, I don't think you can put up anybody kind of hanging from a noose without expecting a reaction.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out because this is absolutely fascinating in terms of free speech. Okay, our final story. This is going to be a total 180. It's hard to go from an intense story about free speech to sports, but I'm going to do it because the golden era of Houston Astros baseball has come to a brief pause. I don't know if you saw this or not, but our Astros will not be in the playoffs for the first time since 2016. That is so long.
I want to applaud you. I'm so glad that you said brief pause instead of end.
Yeah, it's a brief pause.
Because it's not the end, right?
No.
I believe that. We're coming back. This is just a tiny little nap, just a break.
It's just a break. The Golden State Warriors in the NBA, they had a similar run where they were in the NBA Finals, it seemed like every year, multiple championships like the Astros. They missed the playoffs one year, then they came back the next year and won it all again. And this is what I'm predicting for the Houston Astros. This is a good team, and they had a lot of injuries. Things will be fine. They just sputtered out towards the end of the season. There's only so much that young guys could do and stay alive in the race. And they missed it by a game or two. So, they will be back in the playoffs. They will make a run. But can we give it up for them? In this last 8 years, they won 2 championships. They were in the World Series 4 times. They won their division 7 times out of 8 years. What an absolute dominant run. And we are so spoiled.
We are spoiled, and it has been so much fun. I mean, the Astros have honestly turned me into a sports fan, which is something I never thought that I would say. But being able to cover those World Series games and all of those playoff games was so much fun to me. Like, I actually was like, that person who was like looking up the score and watching the game, which is
Yes.
the farthest from me that I've ever gone. But thank you to the Astros. I mean, they have been so fun, and they've really kind of brought a lot of excitement to this city. So I can't wait to see them back on top.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get my fall back, by the way. Stress-free, no baseball stress, no playoff stress. I can just relax and watch some Netflix maybe instead of stressing out over every single pitch. So we get a break too as Houston sports fans, and our hearts get a break because it was stressful.
I went to a game last week or a couple of weeks ago, and I realized that all of my Astros clothes are all sweaters because I'm that used to there being a long postseason that I feel like I'm wearing these clothes in November. So all of a sudden I was like, what? Astros in the summertime? This is weird.
I know. That's so cool. Shout out to the Astros. Thank you for an awesome run. And next year, it's back to the World Series, as heard first right here on CityCast Houston. Okay, when we get back, is a new dog park the reason people are crying gentrification in the East End? Y'all have to hear this only in H-Town story. It's that time of year again when the best of aviation, past and present, takes to the skies over Houston in the Wings Over Houston Air Show. Returning to Ellington Field from October 18th through the 19th, this Texas tradition has something for everyone. Wings Over Houston is a family-friendly event that blends military history and world-class aviation, providing hours of aerial performances, vintage plane displays, and interactive areas for children and, yes, adults too. This year's show marks the return of the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, who leave audiences in awe at their incredible capabilities of the F-16 Fighting Falcon. And in a rare appearance, the last two airworthy B-29 bombers will fly together, commemorating the pivotal role they played 80 years ago to end World War II. Talk about a glimpse into history. Grab your tickets now at wingsoverhouston.com with promo code CCWOH25. That's CCWOH25. And don't forget to join the insider list for even more savings. We'll see you there. All right, Pooja, we're going to end with some only in H-Town stories that are so uniquely Houston that they can only happen here. And this one immediately caught my eye. So there's this new dog park being built in the East End that is really high end, is like the best way to put it. All right. It's a membership only dog park. It has boutique stores. They've got a bar and an ice house for the owners to hang out at, trainers, groomers, pretty much anything you need for dogs. They have it. Now, this park is called Zoomies, and it was posted on social media, and immediately people are like, hey, this is gentrification because it's being built in the East End. What are we doing here? What are your thoughts on this?
This is crazy. I mean, a members-only dog park? Are you kidding me? With the special grass and groomers, and do they really need all that?
I love it. The co-founder, Rami, is a huge CityCast Houston fan. So shout out to him for investing in the East End and for opening this business. But as a dog owner, I hate going to dog parks because I don't know what the other person's dog is going to do. Like, do they have their shots? Are they mild-tempered? Are they going to attack my dog? I've seen that happen to other friends. So I avoid dog parks at all costs now. But this one is really cool because you have to have your shots. They check that. They do a temperament check, meaning like, is your dog cool with other dogs before they go in there? I love this because I don't want the headache of my dog being attacked. It is stressful. So this is really cool. Now, membership only, when you've got perks like that, you got to pay a little bit. So I get it.
You want temperament checks now?
Yes, absolutely. Pooja, I don't know how other dogs are. I know my little sweet dog is cool. He's been trained. And now, like, if you grab his tail, he's not going to be happy. He's an older dog. He's almost 13 years old, but he's not going to go bite anybody. I don't know if the other dogs are going to do that. When you just go to a random dog park, you don't know. So I like this concept. I love it. But to call it gentrification because a dog park is opening up, that's a stretch. Like, come on, y'all.
That area, though, is such a kind of interesting area right now in Houston, right? I mean, because some people talk about gentrification, some people want those businesses to come in. It's such a historic area that means so much to people who live out there that it really is fascinating to watch it change and evolve. And now look at this. Chateau Fido.
Yeah. The funniest comment I saw, Pooja, was somebody said, "Go to the Heights. This is where that business belongs." Kudos to that person.
You can't argue with them.
That was pretty funny. I love it. Look, hey, when you open up a business in any neighborhood, that's a good thing for that area. I hope it's bringing money into that area. So we'll see how Zoomies does. But yeah, this is only in H-Town that we're going to be complaining because a new business is opening up and we're saying, hey, gentrification because of a dog park. That was not on my bingo card.
A members only dog
members
park.
only. Members only dog park. That was not on my bingo card for 2025. Pooja, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. Can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was Pooja Lodhia. You can watch her on ABC13 and follow her work online as well. All of the stories we talked about on today's show are linked in our show notes. Don't forget, you can always send us a voicemail with a story that isn't getting enough attention in your part of Houston by calling 713-489-6972. You're our eyes and ears around the city, so please reach out to us. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with 3 friends who love the Houston Astros and subscribe to the podcast and our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, if you haven't yet. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and go Astros go.
Thank you so much for having me.
One sec, I'm going to do Dateline.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
I did it again. When am I supposed to say
favorite
hello?
thing.
I do it every time.